Welcome to the very first ever Poachers Pickleball podcast. I'm Matt Liggett, one of your hosts. I'm really excited to have Spencer Rodak with me. You've seen him on ESPN Plus. He does a ton of sports media, commentating on various college games. Really excited to have Spencer on. He is new to pickleball, which is great because that's one of the reasons we're starting. Spencer, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun. Yes, as you mentioned, I'm new to pickleball, but I'm excited to be here. And I got my first little taste of professional pickleball back in was it March, the end of
Yeah,
March for the Red Rock Open in St. George, and you and I were able to attend Championship Sunday. So
yeah,
I've
that was
been
great, and it
kind of
was.
hooked ever since then. That was the first pro experience I had. So
Had you ever watched it on TV before, or just the
I had never watched it on TV. I'd seen like a few like highlights and stuff, and
yeah
of course,
yeah
like when Kevin Durant and whoever invests in MLP and stuff, that
yeah
makes the headlines for sure. But that was the first time in
perfect.
person. So
Well, we're really excited to have you. What you guys don't know about Spencer is that he is a sports nut and he is a numbers geek all the way. But pickleball is new, so you're gonna watch and grow. And that's actually one of the reasons that I wanted to do this podcast is I really love playing pickleball. I think there's a lot of people that love to play it, and but there's not a lot of people that really even know about the professional side of pickleball. And I'm just one of my goals is just to be able to talk about what's going on in the professional scene. There's two different ways that there's multiple different ways, but the main ones that I follow are the Major League Pickleball, which is a team sport, and then the PPA, which is teams and the doubles play, but you can kind of pick and choose who you play with. Whereas Major League Pickleball, there's a draft. What's cool about it is a lot of times on the main PPA tour, the best players will play with the best players. So if you and I are the best, Spencer, we're going to match up and beat everybody, right? But in Major League Pickle, you might get picked first, and I might get picked seventh, and then we're battling against each other. So it's kind of fun for that reason. And it's a growing sport. There's been some growing pains with MLP, with PPA, but it's been really exciting to kind of see the playoff matchup come come to fruition. So we're gonna get into that a little bit and kind of what happened recently, as well as what's going on with the final MLP tournament is this weekend in Salt Lake City. So I'll be attending that and be able to give you guys some highlights live in person. So let's recap. Go for it, Spencer. Let's talk about the recap of the last tournament here in Dallas, or it was in Dallas.
yeah, so obviously MLP Dallas event just wrapped, as you mentioned. The top story has to be that the St. Louis Shock clinched the regular season title with a dominant showing, and then of course the Dallas Flash are the defending champs, and they hosted an historic event and nearly set new attendance records for MLP. But finishing strong, fell just short of that top seed. But I'm sure Dallas will be a force to be reckoned with come postseason time.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Dallas is the defending champions, and up until the St. Louis tournament, which was a week ago, they were undefeated, and St. Louis put on a great show. In fact, I just want to talk real quick about we'll get to this a little bit, but the St. Louis tournament as well as the Dallas tournament were put on. Seemed like there were a lot of local involvement. The teams were really involved, and you can tell when somebody hosts and how much effort they put into it. The St. Louis Shock played at Chaifetz Arena, which is where the University of St. Louis plays basketball. So that was really really cool, and it was really loud, and it was probably the first time I've ever seen a home court advantage for pickleball, and both in Dallas and in St. Louis. So St. Louis is your number one seed, and the Dallas Flash I think are going to be the number two. We got to talk about the LA Mad Drops. They had a huge trade, and Ben Johns. You've heard of him, Spencer, I'm sure. But what you may not know is that he was traded from a team that didn't really have a chance to be to be in the playoffs, and they actually extended the trade deadline for him. So this again. This is what I talk about with growing pains. I want to get your take on this because this is like LeBron or Michael Jordan being traded and then bending the rules a little bit to have the trade deadline go a little bit longer. The Carolina Hogs basically dumped all of their best players, Ben and Etta Tue and Toa, and she's actually going to be playing for Utah coming up here, which is exciting. But Ben Johns goes to the Mad Drops. The reason this even happened, and I don't know if you know this either, Kwang Dong, and I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. He was under contract with with the PPA and MLP, but he is from Vietnam and doesn't really understand or believe in contracts. So he has been playing a bunch of
I
unsanctioned
see.
tournaments. Did you hear about this? I don't
I
know.
did not, but
Oh,
this
okay.
is interesting. Yeah.
So he's from Vietnam. He's an awesome player. But would tell his team, his MLP team, oh, I'm getting no surgery in Vietnam. And then suddenly there'd be pictures of him like, teaching kids in Vietnam at a little tournament. And so eventually the PPA and MLP just said your contract is over. And he's a big part of the Mad Drops who are a really good team. But then they just essentially traded for the best player to ever play pickleball, at least on the men's side. What are your thoughts on? I mean, and one of the, I'll just give you some background. One of the things that people talked about is, and I kind of agree, is should this trade have even been allowed? Uh, should they have extended the deadline? What are your thoughts, just knowing what you know and getting the sense that like if this was in the NBA, this is to me this is like the Luka Lakers trade recently. Like some people are like
Yeah,
the
that's a
league
good
should have
comp.
vetoed this, right? The league should have vetoed this. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, if there's set rules, and like you said, there's been some growing pains and just kind of getting things going for MLP. But I mean, come on, if there's a deadline and you're going to try and like work around the trade deadline, at that point, why even have a trade deadline or, follow your own rules? I don't know. I mean, it's like Major League Baseball right now. It's the trade deadline week. And I mean, Eugenio Suarez is a big name for the Diamondbacks that's on the block and he might be traded, but like he can't be traded after July 31st. Like
Yeah.
that's all there is, right? It's the 31st of July. There is no cheating the system. So, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think that's a good look, personally.
Well, and to complicate things slightly further, I guess the owner of the PPA, or it's called the UPA, who owns both the PPA and the MLP, is Connor Pardo. He actually owns the Utah franchise, the Utah Black Diamonds. So it's kind of weird because you have a commissioner, right? Like this would be like the NFL commissioner owning the Giants or something. Um, there's a little bit of that's why I say this is kind of a young sport, obviously, especially on the pro side. So it's just there's kind of a lot of interesting things. I don't have huge strong opinions where I'm super mad about things about this, but I just think it's kind of interesting um, that in a way I joked around that like everyone's like, oh, this makes the MLP not look like a real league, like the NFL and the NBA would never do this. I'm like, actually, this makes them look like a real league because this is exactly what the NBA would do, right? Like with the Luka trade, the only trade I've ever heard of veto was that Chris Paul trade years ago. So
Yeah, Chris Paul to the Lakers, right? And then he ended up on the Clippers. So,
yeah, exactly. So I will say this, regardless of what you think about the trade and whether or not it was collusion or whatever. And some of the owners, particularly the St. Louis Shock owner, kind of came out and said this looked kind of fishy. And that's partially because the LA Mad Drops are actually going to be really good now, right? Like, and they showed out as well. I think they maybe lost one match. I can't remember, but they the one knock on Ben Johns, and I don't know if you know this, is that if he's at an MLP where he's not playing with like somebody who's the best, he doesn't give his all. He's been known to quit and blame it on the lighting. So to have him fully
oh no,
engaged,
no, that's not good.
so imagine like LeBron getting traded, or not getting traded, but having him start on, I don't know, a really bad team, let's say the Jazz right now. And then him just like not really giving any effort until he gets traded to like a really good team. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we're seeing here. Um, so
Interesting.
anyway,
Yeah, we've seen
but
that before in other sports.
yeah. So anyway, but it makes the playoffs certainly much more interesting, and definitely the weekend in Dallas was really great. The Mad Drops and the Dallas Flash had an unbelievable game. There's a huge comeback. Anyway, you guys should go watch this on Pickleball TV. We're not sponsored by them, but I would strongly recommend getting the app. I think it's like $60 a year, and you could pretty much watch any match that's happened in the past. You honestly, you probably could watch them all on YouTube. To be fair, you might have to pay anything. But there was also a really good match that's worth watching, which was the Mad Drop women versus the Shock women. I think it went to like every game goes to 11, and it ended up being like 16 to 14, and it was just back and forth. I think the Mad Drops had like 7 game points that they couldn't convert. It was crazy. So if you guys are bored, or not, just go watch the Shock versus the Mad Drops, and then go watch the Mad Drops versus the Flash. Those were the two probably best. matches of the weekend, in my opinion. All right, what's next on the agenda here, Spencer?
Yeah,
Should we go look at the
I don't know if
standings, I
you wanted to
guess?
share the standings as well post Dallas.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
looking at that broken down right now on my screen.
Let me pull
St.
that up
Louis in that
here.
top spot.
We're super professional here, so let me just pull that up 1 second here. Let's see.
Hey, it's the intro episode. It's the debut.
Exactly.
You know,
This
we
is
got to
it.
work out the
This
kinks.
is this is good. This is like a regular old-fashioned. Oh, here we go. Maybe, maybe not. Hang on. All right, you got to entertain people while I fix this, Spencer.
That's right. Well, yeah, I was just gonna say St. Louis is running away with it. Well, I guess yeah, running away with it. They look pretty good. Dallas as well. I know you mentioned, and we're gonna get into this more, but MLP coming to Salt Lake City. Are you going all 4 days, three
I'll
days?
be there Thursday through Saturday. So hang on,
Nice.
let me get back to that here.
Where are they holding that
So,
at in Salt Lake City?
so it's at the Pickler in Kaysville, and the Pickler is an indoor
Okay.
court that it's really nice to play in. I went to it last year. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once here. Uh, I went to it last year. There wasn't as much seating. I think it's supposed to be better this year, so that's exciting. I'll definitely let you know. I'm actually really. We'll just get into this now. We can skip it when we get to it ahead, but the I'll be really interested to see the atmosphere because the Shock in St. Louis and the Dallas Flash, they're the two best teams by far, and Utah's not officially in the playoffs, but they're probably going to be seventh. And I'm curious to see how the fans are as we pull up the standings here. So you can see the Black Diamonds. I think they're in seventh, or is it eighth or ninth? I don't know. There's 10 playoffs or 10 teams that make the playoffs. The
Looks like ninth right now.
Yeah, so they're in ninth right now. I think they could. Yeah, I think they might have a chance of finishing a little higher, but they may have ninth locked up. I think there's two spots that are available for people that are still eligible. So we'll get to that in a minute, maybe as we talk about that. But just to give you an idea how good the Shock and Flash are, the Shock have lost once, and that was during a Dream Breaker. The Dream Breaker is, for those that don't know, how the Major League Pickleball teams work. There's essentially four people that play, two women, two men. The women play first, the doubles match. The men play next, and then they both do mixed doubles. So one man, one woman, one man, one woman, and it's the best of five. So if one team wins, like so, let's say your men and your women win, and then but you lose both of your mixed matches, then it goes to what's called a dream breaker, which is basically a tiebreaker. That's just a cool way of saying, tiebreaker. They call it a dream breaker. And that is kind of fun and interesting. I'm not a huge singles fan in pickleball, but it is fun because what happens is each of the four players plays 4 points and it's rally scoring. So and you can set it up how you want, but let's say you have one guy go first, he plays singles against the other guy. They play 4 points. Then it just rotates in the next guy, the next girl, and it just keeps rotating until someone gets to 21. So it's pretty fun to watch. Again, I'm not huge on singles, but this when it means a lot, is pretty fun, especially when you're watching like four people come in against the same. Now again, they play the exact same person. So for example, Ben Johns would play Hayden Patrickin or whatever every single time, but you only get 4 points. So if you have someone that's really good at singles, that's great, but they still only have a maximum of winning 4 points until they get rotated back in. So anyway, that was a convoluted explanation, but they've only lost once, and that was in a Dream Breaker. Um, the Dallas Flash are unbelievable. They've only lost 3 times, and again, those three losses were recently, both in St. Louis and in Dallas. And then Brooklyn is great. The New Jersey Fives are really good. They just traded for Noe Cliff. Um, and to replace their captain Zane Navratil, which is really interesting to watch. They will be in Salt Lake. Annalie Waters, who's the greatest female player ever to play pickleball, will be there as well. So that'll be fun. They've got 5 games left. The sliders are sneaky good. They could be trouble. The playoffs are going to be really good. I think legitimately the top 6 teams have a chance of winning the championship. And I don't think you can always say that. And I think one of the slights against Major League Pickleball is that there isn't as much parity as there kind of should be. But I would argue there's a good chance one of those six could do it. So anyway, any thoughts on this before we move on?
No, I don't think so. Obviously, I just want to see Utah see if we can make a run at a championship in pickleball. I mean, it feels like it's been a minute since a Utah sports team has been, relevant.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see the Black Diamonds. I love that name, by the way. That's another podcast thing we should do one time. Break down the names of these
Oh, for
teams
sure.
because,
And the logos.
like,
We
like
definitely
I
need to
said,
do that.
I'm new to these. I'm new to these, and I'm reading them, and I'm like, yeah, these are pretty sick. So.
I'm excited to hear what your take is on all the pickleball clubs and pickleball teams. The kind of the soccer look. I'm not a huge fan of that, so I'm curious what your take is. But yeah, we should definitely do that one of these times and get your opinion on the names. I do think that Black Diamonds is actually a really good name. It's kind of too bad they would have had it, that they already had it. Otherwise, the Utah Mammoth could have been called the Utah Black Diamonds, which I think would have been great to kind of the for the ski fanatics out here in Utah. So, all right, now let's get to let's see. I think we're going to talk about playoff stuff next week as far as like with the what the format and the way it works. So we'll skip that. There was a bit of controversy this week, Spencer, uh, and I want to get your take. So I'm going to go to the next piece here, and we're gonna look a little bit here at some Twitter stuff. So the Kitchen Pickleball, they're a big newsletter website, and they're watching the match with I think it was oh shoot, now I can't even remember if it was with I think it was with the fives. So that's Annalie Waters. Um, and Kate Fahey, who came from tennis and has been unbelievable as a singles player and is getting so much better as a doubles player on the Shock. Uh, this the Kitchen Pickleball. So again, this is a media company. Tweets this out during the match. So I'll just read this. Kate screamed the entire women's match while getting smoked. She's screaming now during the mixed match while making a ton of unforced errors and losing it yet again. I don't really get it. Scream at yourself for motivation, but standing in the net screaming in your opponent's face every point is a bad look. So that's kind of the uh, what they said, and then everybody chimed in from there. Some people on the kitchen side, some people on Kate Fahey's side. So let me just tell you this. So what happened was after that, they Kate and Gabe Tardio did lose the match. So luckily, it went to Dreambreaker, or at least luckily for the Shock. So now Kate has to play against Annalie Waters, who is the best player ever to play, and at singles. And Kate is
Good
amazing at
luck with
singles.
that.
That's those two you see in the finals quite a bit in the PPA against each other in singles. So after all this, and I have a few questions afterwards, but Kate goes four straight. So she doesn't give up a point to the greatest singles player ever. And then a few things happen. The Shocker winning. Noe Cliff calls a ball out. It's not out. They'd already used a challenge. If you've used a challenge and you are incorrect, you actually at this point get a technical foul, for lack of a better word. I don't know what they call it, but you actually lose a point. And Anna Lee was up next, and so she didn't get to even play 4 points against Kate. And she did end up winning two of the three. So ultimately, Kate comes away with six, and then the Shock win the Dreambreaker ultimately. But Kate Fahey, after kind of getting ripped apart for screaming or whatever, against the best in the world, goes 6-2 in points, and so that's six of the 21 points needed to win the Dreambreaker. So again, and the other thing that's funny is Anna Bright, who is also a member of the Shock. She's the other female Shock player. She chimes in and says, "This is embarrassing. If you want to post shiz like this, post from a personal account. You don't understand. Yeah, you don't have to understand shiz. We are screaming to the number one seed." So basically, she's saying like, if you're going to talk about this, do it from a personal account rather than like the media account. And then the Kitchen Pickleball seems to basically go on the defensive, saying this is what we do. It's okay for us to give an opinion. By the way, everybody agrees with us, and they did like a Facebook poll and stuff. So, first of all, what is your take on somebody yelling during the match, even though they're losing? screaming at them. And again, you've seen it live, so you kind of know what it's like and the emotions and the tension that a point can have. But she's losing, and she loses her two doubles matches, but then comes back and is unbelievable in the Dream Breaker. So, what is your take on her the yelling? Do you agree that this kind of is warranted for the kitchen to say this?
Yeah, so you mentioned obviously like there's a lot of emotion and big things at stake right in these moments, and you understand like athletes are competitive. So I'm okay with her screaming. I mean, as long as she's not like, I mean, if she's directing it like at the other team or the other competitors, that would make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, like if she's just kind of screaming at herself. Now the kitchen part, okay, they say they're media, okay?
Yeah.
So I definitely think that if it's a media company, you should not be firing off these tweets from your so-called quote unquote professional account. I
Yeah.
think if there's somebody at the kitchen pickleball, a writer or a podcaster or a analyst or whatever, and they want to shoot it off on their personal account, then that's fine. But like it would be like the herd with Colin Cowherd, and he's ripping LeBron James on the herd's account. He
Yeah.
does it on his personal account, right?
Right,
Like he
right.
does it from Colin Cowherd's account. So, yeah, it's a little weird to me. Like if you're going to be a media entity, there's a certain degree of professionalism that is expected from that, and the way that you interact with the public and like the I guess the PR side, for lack of a better term, that I think that's a little strange of a reaction from them. But
Yeah, and again, I'm not here to rip on the kitchen. I just think it's kind of interesting. I think it's especially interesting considering Kate and Anna Bright kind of had the last laugh um, winning. I also think, and to be fair, I think the kitchen has talked about like other some of the guys yelling, but is it because Kate's a woman who's yelling? I don't know. It doesn't bother me in the least. I think actually what's funny is and then we'll talk about this in a second too, is kind of the MLP is a lot more irreverent than the PPA. So again, for those listeners that are new to pickleball, the PPA would be like the tennis version of like, Wimbledon, US Open. It's just their tournaments and essentially single players or doubles teams. Whereas the MLP is kind of like the NBA or it's a team sport. And you've got like the owner of the Fives, who Ryan Harwood, who you love him or hate him. It's kind of it's up to you. But he's out there yelling, trying to get people to count to five, which was funny because in Dallas nobody would count to five with him. So the Dallas Flash, the fans did a great job. But like, there's that. There's the coach of the Phoenix Flames, who we'll talk about him in a second. But he's got a whistle that he's blowing, and it was funny because they were playing the Shock were playing the Flames the other day, and he was blowing his whistle every time something good happened, and the Shock just completely destroyed him. And when it was finally over, Kate just pretended to blow the whistle right in his face. Like, so I kind of like the irreverent stuff to a point. Um, let's actually get to that next thing here. So Tyler Lung, who's a professional here in Utah, uh, basically said like he has a picture of the coach of Phoenix Flames, and he's wearing the Dallas Flash shirt, but he's taped over the FL part and put TR, so Dallas Trash is what it says on the shirt. Um, and then he's the guy with the whistle. And so Tyler asked, and again, he's a pro. He plays for the Utah Black Diamonds. He says, um, "My thoughts, since no one's asked, I think it's hilarious. However, as a coach slash GM, I think it shouldn't be allowed. Imagine an NBA coach doing this or any other pro league representative. Maybe WWE could do something like this. If this is the direction MLP wants to go, let's open the floodgates and get some real entertainment going on. Otherwise, in my opinion, shouldn't be allowed for team members to do these antics." And then people kind of chimed in and said, like, pick a lane, MLP. Are you guys um, more WWE? Are you more professional, like some of the other leagues? Um, and again, they're young and new, so I just want to get your take after seeing this and my descriptions. What do you think?
yeah,
Um,
well, I did think it was funny, definitely, but I'm kind of on the side of yeah, MLP needs to, if they're going to be a professional league, then they kind of need to act more like a professional league. If it's going to be a lot of like shizhousery, I guess. If they're wanting to get into that, then that's fine. If they want the WWE route, but it kind of reminds me a little too much WWE or like XFL. It just kind of seems a little gimmicky, I guess. for lack
Yeah.
of a better term. And I think, yeah, if you're a coach or a GM, like, hey, you couldn't do that in the NBA. Like Greg Popovich couldn't show up to a Spurs game and wear a, the Clippers suck shirt. Like
Yeah.
that would never work in another league. So if you're trying to be the highest level professional league in your sport, I think you have to draw the line in certain places.
I agree, but I don't think it's either or. I don't think you have to go full WWE or like full buttoned up professional. I think you can have some fun and be exciting. WWE to me implies like fake and, storylines that are, manufactured. So I don't think that's the case. I think it can be fun and irreverent, and I think the atmosphere. You've been to the PPA tournament. The atmosphere at MLP is a little bit more fun, a little more exciting because you're kind of rooting for the team, um, even if it's not the team that you root for. Like something can be exciting and happening. And again, for me, what I like about it is that you get to see people play with partners that they wouldn't normally play with. So I don't think you have to go either direction. I think you can go somewhere in the middle where it's fun and entertaining, but not crazy like WWE. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's good. Somewhere in the middle, but yeah, maybe for a coach and GM, yeah, maybe that's a little much. But for players, I mean, yeah. Everyone likes a little bit of player banter and rivalries between players and teams.
Yeah,
But
I will say
yeah, I
this.
like that.
I think the interesting thing is the most I guess the Dallas Flash are probably the quietest team, and very professional. The St. Louis Shock are very professional, but I wouldn't call them quiet by any means. They're the ones that just got ripped on for yelling. And Hayden Patchman, who's one of my favorite players, talks a ton of trash. He's always chirping. He'll hit somebody with the ball and then, uh, give him his 2 cents worth afterwards. So I don't think that. Also, the New Jersey Fives, like I said, Ryan Harwood's a little crazy on the bench, counting, going crazy. But I would say that the teams at the top are definitely act the most professional. Does that make sense? Like they're the most buttoned up. Whereas honestly, the Phoenix Flames, they actually have really good players but they don't seem to that seems more like a sideshow to me. The guy with the whistle and the Dallas trash. Again, it doesn't bother me personally. But I think it's interesting to see that the teams that act a little bit more professional, at least off the court with the way their teams are run, like the Shock and the Flash and the Fives. Those teams are the best teams out there. They have the most continuity, and again, from what I understand, the most professionalism as far as their organizations. Honestly, I've heard that the Carolina Hogs, back when Ben Johns was on that team, he actually had to like plan the travel and plan their Airbnb. I mean, that seems
Jeez.
pretty small town to me, considering you're a professional league. Now I get it, you're a young league, so like maybe this is like the early days of the ABA or something, right? Like I get that. But anyway, all right. So let's move on here. Unless you have any other thoughts on the
No, I don't
WWMLPE.
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I have any more thoughts. But yeah,
Okay.
like you kind of mentioned, the most professional teams are the ones that are at the top of the table, right? So
Yeah, for
maybe
sure.
that coincides
For sure.
with the two. But
All right, so what to watch for this week? Let's we've what we got up out here, and this is thanks to the Dink Pickleball. Eric Tice does an excellent job, so shout out to him. You go check out the dinkpickleball.com. He has a really cool, and again, this is a numbers thing. This isn't totally my cup of tea, but it's interesting for those people that are watching. We have the whole everybody's points per match. I don't know. I don't even know what you would call this. This is basically just a breakdown of every single match for every team, how many points they average, whether or not they've clinched, how many points they need to clinch on average. Anyway, so let's get down to this. If you're going to watch MLP this weekend, here's what to watch for. And this is more the lower teams getting into the playoffs and seeing what damage they can do. So there's four teams heading into the playoffs, or sorry, four teams fighting for the last two playoff spots in Salt Lake City. The Black Diamonds, right? They're comfortably in ninth place. They probably are going to end up there, unless they really do terrible. They're going to probably be at least in ninth place. Miami Pickleball Club. They have five. Everybody has 5 games to play this weekend. Um, they need at least a point per match. And just so everyone knows, the way it works is if you win, um, it three matches of the four before, like you don't have to go to Dream Breaker. You get all 3 points. If you go to Dream Breaker, you're guaranteed a point. But if you win the Dream Breaker, you get 2 points. So there's 3 points available. If you win outright, you get 3 points. If you win in a Dream Breaker, you get 2 points. If you lose in a Dream Breaker, you get 1 point. So um, Utah and Miami are kind of the inside track. The Chicago Slice have a chance to do it, as well as the Atlanta Bouncers have an outside chance as well. So the interesting thing is Utah plays a couple of these teams. So they play both Chicago and Atlanta and Miami. So that's like, they're battling head to head to see who can be in there. So same thing with Miami. They play Chicago, Atlanta, and Utah. The Slice play Miami and Utah. They don't, and then the Bouncers play Miami and Utah. Sorry, they obviously play other people, but um, the ones that matter are going to be those head to head ones, I think. So that's something to watch for. Again, I'm really excited to see the the Utah crowd does with with the showing. Are they going to be as good as the what the Shock did in St. Louis last week or this week in Dallas? It's going to be really interesting to see. What do you think?
Yeah, that will be
Anything?
interesting to see. It's fun that you get to. No, I think I'm just looking forward to, like you said, those particular matchups, those head to heads between the 7 through 10 kind of range, to see who can pull ahead of one to clinch those last two spots with the big matches for Utah. I mean, of course, I'd love to see Utah pull through, and if they're kind of in that 9 spot like you mentioned right now, and if they can just kind of stay the course, and as long as they don't have an awful weekend, then they should be good to go there. But I did see and you mentioned last year was MLP. You said was in Kaysville
Yeah,
at the
It's
Pickler.
Kaysville at the Pickler. So it's a really big pick. So Pickler's an indoor pickleball facility. I'm a member here in
Yeah,
Lehigh,
they have one here
Utah,
in
in
St.
St.
George.
George.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an awesome facility. They put some stands up, but the problem last year was if you weren't there early, you didn't get a very good seat. I ended up actually paying a little extra and going to the VIP side so I could have a better seat and enjoy it. So that's what I'm doing on Friday, Saturday, but Thursday I'm going with my wife, so we just got the two cheaper seats. There's two different. There's a grandstand and then grandstand and a center court, and so you can switch back and forth between the two. Um, and so that'll be kind of good. But from what I understand, it's going to be a little bit larger. I'll let you guys know obviously how it is, and we'll have some videos and stuff up that I'll take there. But I'm excited to see how they do. Again, one of the things Connor Pardo, who's the owner of the league as well as the Utah Black Diamonds, he isn't known for putting a lot of money behind this. So I'm kind of curious to see how it goes. I hope that they do, or maybe it's the Pickler that's going to be doing a big part of it. We will see. Um, all right, closing thoughts here on our first podcast. Spencer, what do you have before I wrap things up? Anything you want to mention?
No, just excited for the matches in Utah. I wish I could go.
I know, I wish you could.
Obviously, though, I just had
You're
my wife and I just had our first baby, who's like a month old, so that's not happening.
so
But it'd be super fun to go. But I'm glad that you get to go and experience that. I'll have to give it a shot, maybe next year or the next time they're in town.
for
But
sure.
yeah, I like you said, I'm interested to see if Utah puts on a good show like St. Louis or Dallas, and a lot of that is going to have to do with, like you mentioned, the ownership group and stuff putting um, the effort into it. But we know that Utah has great sports fans, whether that's for Real Salt Lake or the Jazz or the University of Utah, BYU, the list goes on. So I'd love to see. Uh, I'm curious to see, at least from watching it on Pickleball TV. I'm interested to
Yeah,
see
definitely.
how the Utah crowd is.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited for everyone to see that. So check out Pickleball TV. You can actually watch on Amazon. Pickleball TV has an Amazon channel that is on when it's live. So you can go to Amazon Prime and watch that there. Pickleballtv.com. You can get the app. There's lots of different ways to check it out. I just think it's a lot of fun, especially if you're into the sport of pickleball. These guys are so good, and if you can get out and see them live, it's so much more impressive watching them live than on TV. You can't quite see how fast things are happening. So we're really excited. Again, this is a new show. So once you guys see this and hear it, like, subscribe, tell your friends all about it. I definitely want to also give a shout out to the folks over at U Drippin'. I'm going to call them our unofficial sponsor. I met the husband and wife team that started U Drippin'. They do over grips for your pickleball paddles as well as apparel, and they're actually getting into golf grips now as well. They're going to have a storefront here in the Utah County area. So very cool people, and I actually had a U Drippin' grip that I was given from the pickler. And so I'm excited. I'm actually going to try it out tonight. I will let you guys know what I think of the over grip. And if I play much better, we'll consider it because of them. So anyway, let us know, like, subscribe, tell your friends about the podcast. Hopefully we can get more people interested in professional pickleball. And looking forward to hearing you guys next time on the Poachers Pickleball podcast.